Okay, super pleasant good morning to each and every one. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we're here. It's another day, it's another dawn, a little bit bleak on the outside, but we're here. My name is David Squeeze Annakie of the Link Up Media Group of Companies. I am the host and broadcaster on Link Up Radio 93.5 WVIP FM, and we're here today to speak on immigration. I'm here with the attorney from the law firm Pollack, Isaac and DeSico, Alexandra Bondakov. That's such a cool name, Bondakov. I like that. Bondakov. Sounds very royal and
good to go.
Yeah, so want to say good morning, Alexandra. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. 1 week to opening day.
1 week, huh? Wow. That's what I'm talking about. Well, listen, we're here today, another day. Quickly, have you taken the vaccine as yet?
I'm trying to.
You're trying to.
Trying to.
You're working on it.
I'm working on it. I hope they will revise the eligibility criteria so I can qualify.
Okay. See, you young people, I already got mine, What can I say?
I'm jealous.
Mr. Nelson, how are you? How are you doing today, Mr. Attorney?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Sounds good. What's going on?
Not much. I was just asking Alexandra if she has taken the vaccine as yet. She says she's working on it. She hasn't taken it yet. She's just waiting for her eligibility to get it done. What about you?
I actually did have it. It's funny. I know everybody's reaction is different, but I got literally, I felt lightheaded as soon as I got the vaccine. I had a headache for like 3 days thereafter.
Yep. You got Moderna, I guess, right?
That's correct.
Exactly. Everybody who has the side effects, I can tell if it's Moderna or it's Pfizer or whatever. I'm like, yep, you got Moderna. Yeah.
What's funny is I took my dad about a week ago and he got Pfizer.
Right.
And first of all, I had to wait online for over an hour. My father literally just walked in, got his shot. The longest part of my father's vaccine was you got to wait for 15 minutes, right?
Wow.
But literally, my dad got up and we went to the park with my kids thereafter. He felt nothing. He felt nothing. Guess what shot he got?
Pfizer.
That's right.
Well, it gets worse after the second one, though. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard less complaints about the people who have taken Pfizer. With Moderna, everyone has had some kind of side effects. I had the headache and the flu-like symptoms for a couple of days, and then it disappeared.
Yeah, and I had the itchy arm as well.
Yeah, that I had too. I think that comes with the whole needle thing,
So how are you, David? David, when are we going to Jamaica?
Hey, listen, we can go to Jamaica anytime, man. Now that we're getting inoculated, But Jamaica, they're fighting their own battles right now with the virus itself because they are a mini lockdown. I believe this weekend curfew is kicking in full gear at 12 noon. That means you can't be seen on the streets after 12 noon.
Wow.
Yeah, you're going to get arrested. So they've got a mini lockdown. I guess on the resorts it's different, but external of the resorts, you can't be on the streets, and they're very serious. And during the week, curfew is at 8 p.m. So it's getting very serious down there. But anyway, here we are. Speaking of Jamaica, I'm quite sure a lot of people have questions on immigration. People who are here from Jamaica, people who would like to get here from Jamaica, some people who would like to figure out how to sort out their status here in the United States. This show is on immigration today, ladies and gentlemen. Those people out there who would like to actually have their questions answered or their cases handled, do call the law firm, Pollack, Isaac and DeSico. Their number is 844-774-3529. That's 844-774-3529, 844-PPID law. Before we get into the questions, attorneys, are there any updates on immigration, anything that we all should know?
I have nothing this week other than the H-1B season is in full swing. The registration for the lottery is ongoing. It will end tomorrow at 12 p.m. So if there's somebody out there who's considering entering the H-1B visa lottery for the upcoming cap year, now is the time to do it. There's still time, but the window is rapidly shrinking. So don't delay, call us.
What is the H-1B1 visa lottery?
The H-1B visa is for temporary workers who are coming here to perform services in a specialty occupation. And basically specialty occupation, the easiest thing to think of it is that it requires as a minimum a bachelor's degree for qualification. Every year there is a cap of 65,000. There's an additional cap of 20,000 for workers who have earned a master's degree from a qualifying U.S. institution. As you can probably tell, there's a lot more demand than there are visas available each year, so there is a lottery. This year, starting last year, USCIS revamped the way they run it. In years past, everybody filed their applications on April 1st, and then they ran the lottery. Starting last year, they implemented a registration system where everybody registers, which is a simpler process. They run the lottery. If you win, then the employer only then submits the full-blown visa petition. So this registration period, like I said, ends tomorrow at noon. So.
Okay. You know, and if I could just add, you know, you can't come here on a visitor's visa, fall out of status, and then say, hey, I'm a nurse, can I apply for an H-1B? It's not that simple, you know, and it's a question that's commonly asked. You know, once you're out of status, again, the clock starts ticking on unlawful presence. You know, plus also, as I said, you know, you can't come on a visitor visa, you know, simply overstay and apply for an H-1B. I mean, there's obviously a process involved. There's, you know, time frames, there's time requirement. It's, you know, it's a lot more complicated. I'm not sure why everybody just oversimplifies. Listen, if immigration, and this sounds horrible, if immigration were competent and efficient, I would be unemployed. You know, my office wouldn't look the way it does. I wouldn't have, you know, over 50 files in my office. And it is what it is.
Absolutely. And once again, folks, I hope you are all listening to that. All right. He wouldn't have a job. They wouldn't have a job if the Department of Homeland Security immigration was very efficient. So make sure you reach out to the attorneys. Call them. Their number is 844-774-3529. Speaking of offices, evidently you're in the Peekskill office today, right?
I am.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the Peekskill office and also the other offices.
Sure. So we opened up, I think one of the primary reasons we opened up Peekskill, the Peekskill office, was because we have a large client base in Westchester. And a lot of our clients basically said traveling into New York City was too long of a commute. And they would basically miss an entire day of work, you know, going into the city, meeting with their lawyer. And then by the time they come home, they couldn't go to work because half of their day was gone. So in an effort to accommodate our clients, we opened up the Westchester office, which in my opinion has been very successful. You know, we have a lot of clients who, you know, again, live in the area. This is very convenient for them. You don't have to pay $50 for parking. There's street parking available. You know, I think it's a win-win for both the clients as well as PPID.
Gotcha. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Pollack, Isaac, and Misico, the law firm, the only law firm you will ever need. Reach out to them. The attorneys are here. They're about to answer some immigration questions. We've got Alexandra Bondakop. You just heard from Nelson Madrid. And once again, their phone number is 844-774-3529. That's 844-774-3529. And I'm about to jump to the question, but what are you guys' take on what's happening at the border with the kids?
You know, I think it's actually, I think that's a great question. You know, in my opinion, at least, I think things are unclear. You know, the media can obviously blow things completely out of proportion. This is something that's been a problem for a long, long time. And that's a fact, you know, both sides, I think are very quick to throw the other side under the bus and point the finger. Again, it's so convenient to all of a sudden have this crisis. It's getting all this publicity, all this, but the reality of it is, right? I mean, and as Conrad would say, I'm not going to name names or point fingers, but the prior administration was keeping kids in cages. If kids weren't coming in, how would they be in cages? If children weren't coming in, how would you have the opportunity to separate them from their family? So this isn't a problem that just happened overnight. This isn't a problem that just happened a month and a half ago when the new administration took over. This is an ongoing issue. It's an issue that's existed for many years. And it's a problem, unfortunately, that's just, I'm not sure that there's necessarily a solution, because you've had several administrations which have had the opportunity to quote unquote, rectify or fix the problem. But it seems like nobody, right? Because again, the prior administration was separating children from family. So if children weren't coming in, how is that even possible? How can you separate the children and the parents, right? How is it 500 plus children have no idea where their parents are? So this is an ongoing problem, and obviously I think it needs to be addressed, at some point.
Definitely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, great point you made there, Nelson. That's a situation that the Biden administration inherited. Once again, the phone number is 844-PPID-LAW. Let's jump into the immigration questions we've got for the attorneys today. It says here, I am a recent resident immigrant who arrived in the United States in October 2019. After two months in February 2020, I returned to Jamaica to sort out some unfinished business. Because of COVID-19 and being among the high-risk group, age and hypertension, I am still outside of the US today. Will I be penalized if I consider returning between March and April 2021, now 2021, my considered safe time, or what is the best recommended time for me to return?
Can I take this, Nelson? Yeah, okay. So, a permanent resident has to maintain their physical presence in the United States. So any absence of, in normal circumstances, any absence of more than 6 months may trigger questions at the border at the time of entry. Due to the COVID pandemic, CBP has been a lot more flexible. They do understand that because of this outbreak, people may not be able to travel and return on time. So there is a lot of flexibility. Certain ports are better than others. And by ports, I mean points of entry. Atlanta's okay, JFK is also okay. But we usually recommend in certain cases that a person brings evidence of their either medical situation or their diagnosis and documents of their ties to the US. Now, this particular caller has only been here for 2 months or so before he left. So I don't know what kind of evidence he can present, but generally speaking, the sooner they try to re-enter, the better, and bring documents to explain the longer stay and ties to the United States.
And if I could just add to that, listen, a lot of people are traveling, and the longer you're out, the harder it becomes to sell this pandemic thing. Because there are people with pre-existing conditions that are traveling, there are shots, again, the longer you're out, the more difficult it becomes, anytime, and we've spoken about this several times in the past, anytime you're seeking to come into the United States, the analogy that's often given is you're knocking at the door, right? You don't have to be let in, right? And, admission is, especially when you've been out for such a long period of time, is discretionary. So, to continue to try to say it's the pandemic, I'm not saying you will, but you may have a problem. And that's important to stress because, as I said, again, airlines are up and running, businesses are up and running, the world has moved on and life is getting back to normal. So it's just something to be aware of.
Absolutely. And once again, folks, if you have questions, reach out to the attorneys. Before you do anything silly or stupid, pick up the phone, call the attorneys, speak with them. 844-PPID-LAW. That's 844-774-3529. And they'll let you know exactly what needs to be done. Hire them. Let them deal with it. Here's another question. I got married to an American woman 2 years ago and recently moved to the United States. Unfortunately, we have not been getting along, and I am thinking of going back to Jamaica because we're constantly fighting. I eventually left the house and stayed in a shelter because of the constant fights. Since that time, she reported me to immigration, saying that I only married her for a green card. And this is far from the truth. When we got married, I was not aware that she was struggling with mental issues. I'm not sure what to do at this point. I don't want to be deported, but I also don't want to lose the opportunity to travel to the United States in the future. Please advise.
Okay, so I assume this person may have gotten a conditional green card, right?
Right.
So typically when someone files for you, not typically, the rule is when someone files for you and you haven't been married for 2 years or more, you get a conditional green card. A conditional green card is valid for 2 years. 3 months before, now, a conditional green card is similar to a permanent resident status, except it's only valid for 2 years. 3 months before the 2 years, you have to file an application to remove the conditions and become a permanent resident. Permanent resident status is basically a green card that's valid for 10 years. When you file the application to remove the conditions, there is a category you could check, which basically states, look, at the time we married for love, but things fell apart and we are divorcing or we have divorced. Your burden as the applicant is to demonstrate that that marriage was a real marriage during the time it lasted, right? Mm-hmm. So, okay, you obviously, or you may have provided proof at the inception of the marriage. So what happened for the next 2 years? What evidence do you have that you and that person were, a real couple, that you married with the intent to establish a life together? That application typically takes about a year, typically. Immigration, in fact, we've represented several callers in this type of case. Immigration typically issues what's called a request for evidence. So even though you file evidence with that application, immigration typically comes back and asks for more evidence. But once that is approved, then you get a 10-year green card. So you don't necessarily have to stay married to the person to remove the conditions. You can proceed pro se on your own if you are able to demonstrate that the marriage was entered into in good faith and it was, again, entered into with the intent to establish a life together.
But this is not something that I would recommend that anyone do by themselves. It could get a little bit complicated. Wrong or right, Alexandra? I think you're muted. I said, I was just saying, I don't recommend that someone actually do this by themselves, remove the conditions, and especially in a situation where there have been fights. I was gonna mention VAWA, but VAWA is not applicable in this case.
It may be. There is an exception to the 751 joint filing requirement if the spouse, the conditional resident spouse, can prove that they suffered abuse. There is an exception, and it was created by VAWA. So yes, you're right about that. It may be, but again, it all depends on the individual circumstances. And like Nelson said, and I cannot stress this enough, it's what you can prove. The devil is always in the details. The burden is on the applicant to prove that there has been abuse. So
there you go. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, don't try to do this by yourself. Call the attorneys, hire them. The number is 844-774-3529. Those looking for a free consultation, a mini free consultation, make sure you call the law firm before the top of the hour. That number is 844-774-3529. 844-774-3529. Here's another question. I'm currently waiting on the National Visa Center to give me a date, but I have a visitor's visa and I am currently in the United States. When the pandemic broke out, I didn't want to be alone, so I traveled to my mom, who is filing for me.
seeing that I can't change my status from here with my mom filing, is it possible to get married to my US fiance and change my status, although I am waiting on a visa to become available?
I guess it depends on whether the priority date is current. And I don't think that was in the fact pattern. So this person, if the priority date is current and she is in a legal status in the United States, it may be possible for her to adjust through her mom's, but we don't know that. With respect to a potential marriage case, absolutely, that's an option. Again, the devil is always in the details. We need to know how long ago she entered. Generally speaking, when you enter on a non-immigrant visa, and we've said this many, many times in the past, your intent at entry matters. If you came here as a tourist and if you marry within a month after you come, you may have issues at the adjustment interview with respect to your intent. So that's a great example of somebody who should be contacting an attorney.
Absolutely. Once again, folks, the number is 844-PPID-LAW, 844-774-3529. Before we get to the final question, just want to remind people that the law firm also, of course, operate in the capacity of personal injury. Adam Handler is the case handler. He's the one that runs that department. He's also a partner at the firm. If you get hurt in an accident, do reach out to him. Do call him. Do give him a ring. You know, automobile accidents, slip and fall, construction accidents, you know, you name it, ladies and gentlemen. Even if you're out of status and you get into that accident, reach out to the firm, ask for the case handler. His number is the same number, 844-PPID-LAW. That's 844-774-3529. That's 844-774-3529. Let's go to this.
David, 1 second. Yeah. I just want to jump in here for a quick minute, because this is, you know, again, this is something that maybe a lot of people are unaware of or don't know. I'm not sure where people have got, these are the most common things I've heard, you know. I was arrested more than 10 years ago, but I heard that no longer matters. I heard, you know, that's erased from my record. You know, I filed something 20 years ago. I heard that immigration will no longer consider that. That is a lie. Okay, that is not true. Okay. Anytime you filed any type of immigration related case, there is one file for you. And everything that you've ever filed with immigration is typically in that one file. You know, many times when you are interviewed, this is a question that they ask, you know, you know, has anyone ever previously filed a petition on your behalf? Right? And if you lie, now that's fraud, you know? So it's important to be forthcoming and say the truth, you know, and, you know, many times that does open up a can of worms, right? Yep. You know, I met with someone yesterday who said, well, I didn't know what I was signing, and, you know, and, you know, they never really explained it to me. You know, the problem with that is you signed, your signature is on there. Your signature is binding, right? And something I've heard both immigration examiners as well as judges, immigration judges state is, why would you sign something when you did not know what you were signing? You know, if you didn't know what you were signing, you should have gone to someone who could have translated to you and explained to you what you were signing. You know, so simply, you know, negligence, what is it? Negligence of the law is not a defense. You know, you can't claim, right, you can't claim, well, I didn't know. I mean, I thought, you know, oh, well, I thought she was a lawyer and she had me sign. You know, once you sign on the dotted line, you are responsible.
Yep.
You know, and it's common, very common, because, you know, again, there's people who years ago, I understand, were desperate, went to someone, you know, but you need to share this with your attorney, because one of the worst things that can happen to you is for you or your attorney to be blindsided, right? You said you never filed a petition. Now you go to an interview and they're like, well, guess what? You did. I have it in front of me. You know, now you've committed fraud. Now you need a waiver. You know, your case just went up in price. You know, it's also going to take longer because now there's an additional step that obviously everybody was unaware of.
Right.
So it's important to keep that in mind. You know, as I said before, criminal records do not erase. Immigration history does not go away. You can't pretend it never happened. So, you know, again, that's very common, and I just wanted to clarify that misconception.
Thank you so much. All right, final question, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say thanks to each and everyone for actually tuning in. It says here, I, my wife, and my child are Jamaicans, but my wife, who is a green card holder, submitted an application for me and our son to get our green card 2.5 years ago. Our son has got his green card, but because I was studying in Jamaica, I had not yet gone to the United States Embassy. My wife is thinking of returning to Jamaica. Are we able to cancel or retract my green card application, or does it expire after a certain duration? Is it best for her to surrender her green card if she returns for an extended amount of time? There we go again.
All right, so let me just try to understand this. So the American citizen is in Jamaica studying, and the wife, who's a legal permanent resident, is in the United States. Is that correct?
Seems like that's what you're saying.
Okay, so generally speaking, once somebody gets their green card, my advice always is that, you know, you do everything that you can to keep this green card, because you don't know, we may not want it now, but, you know, in a couple of years, you may want to come back. So there are ways for people that are in similar situations. It's called a reentry permit. It basically allows somebody to remain outside of the United States for longer, for up to 2 years. And it keeps the green card, basically. So, you know, that may be an option for your caller.
It seems like this person was evidently granted permanent residency, but they did not go to the United States Embassy in Jamaica to pick up their green card. So the question is also around that.
That I don't understand this question in that case, because if he applied at the consulate, he would be getting an immigrant visa, all right? That's not the same as permanent residence. So on the basis of that immigrant visa, you have to actually enter the United States before you get your green card. So that fact pattern is not very clear to me.
Right.
And, you know, they mail the passport back. I mean, I find it extremely unlikely that this person didn't get their passport back. So, I mean, I'm sorry,
No, I understand, fully understand. Okay, once again, ladies and gentlemen, the number is 844-PPID-LAW. I want to say thanks to each and everyone for tuning into the show. Make sure you check it out each and every single weekday at 9:30 a.m. Now, many of you have immigration questions. Call them before the top of the hour to get yourself a free mini consultation. The key is to hire the firm, not just to call and load them up with questions every day. Hire them. That's the reason why they're there. Ask for them by name. Ask for Ralston, ask for Alexandra, ask for Nelson. Ralston will get you all set up with Jamaican brethren. All right? Give them a link. The number once again is 844-774-3529. That's 844-PPID-LAW. Also, if you get hurt in an accident, same firm, 844-774-3529. Alexandra, thank you so much. Nelson, thank you so much. You guys have yourselves an amazing, amazing super day. And thank you so much for what it is that you're doing for the community. We do appreciate you. Have a good one. And
it's 10 o'clock.